Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So we all know AI is incredibly powerful, right? It can write code, whip up a summary of a huge document, or create these amazing images. But here's the thing. In all those cases, the AI is a lone wolf. It's working by itself. The next big step, the real game changer, is getting these AIs to work together as a team. And this gets right to the heart of it. We've gotten really good at giving AI individual tasks, but how do we make the jump from one single specific action, like writing one email, to managing a huge complex project with a ton of moving parts? Like running a whole marketing campaign or, even an entire company. That is the next frontier. So what's the holdup? Well, the core problem, as our source material from Sichuan University points out, is that right now our AI agents are like these brilliant specialists who are stuck working in total isolation. They're amazing at their one thing, but they really struggle with complex problems. Because, let's face it, real-world challenges almost never need just one skill. They need teamwork, they need coordination, and they need a shared game plan. So how do we fix this? Well, the answer is a really cool concept called an agent workflow. The easiest way to think about it is like a management system or an operating system for a team of AIs. It's the playbook that gets all these brilliant specialists on the same page. It's the framework that lets them collaborate, communicate, and act like a single coordinated unit to go after those bigger, much more complex goals. Okay, so how do you actually build one of these AI teams? Well, the whole process is a lot like putting together a human project team. You're basically going from a single musician, a soloist, to conducting a full symphony orchestra. And for that, you need different instruments, you need a conductor, and you need sheet music that everyone can read and follow. All right, now this might look a little complicated at first, but stick with me. This is basically the master blueprint for everything we're going to talk about. Think of it as our roadmap. Over on the left, you've got how the individual agents get defined. Then in the middle, you have the brains of the operation, the management functions like planning and memory that hold the team together. And on the right, you see what it all produces, the outputs and real-world applications. We're going to break these key pieces down one by one. Think about it. On any great team, you can't have everyone trying to do the same job, right? It would be chaos. So the very first step in building an effective agent workflow is assigning clear, distinct roles. Who's the manager? Who are the specialists doing the actual work, and who's in charge of quality control? And the key thing is, these AI teams are often built around 3 core roles. First up, you've got the planner. This is your manager agent. It takes a big, kind of fuzzy goal, like launch a new product, and it breaks it down into a concrete to-do list of smaller tasks. Then you have your executors. These are your specialists. One might be a coder agent, another could be a research agent, maybe a third is a marketing copywriter agent. And finally, and this is absolutely crucial for quality, you have the critic. This agent's whole job is to look over the work done by the executors, find any mistakes, and give feedback so they can make it better. All right, so we've got our team, the roles are set, but now what? How do they actually work together without stepping on each other's toes? They need a playbook, a set of rules that defines how they interact. This workflow is the secret sauce that makes the team really function as one unit. The first strategy, and the simplest one, is the chain workflow. Just think of a factory assembly line, The first agent finishes its task and just passes the result to the second agent. That agent does its part and passes it to the third, and so on down the line. It's linear, it's straightforward, and it's perfect for any process where each step has to happen right after the one before it. But let's be real, not everything works like an assembly line. Sometimes you need to multitask. And that's where the parallel workflow comes in. This is for when you've got a bunch of separate tasks that can all be done at the exact same time. So, for example, you could have a research agent digging up data while a coder agent is setting up the database. This is all about being efficient and saving time by doing things simultaneously. Now, this next one, this is where things get really powerful. It's called the orchestrator-worker workflow. Here, you have a central orchestrator agent. That's our planner from before, acting like a project manager. It looks at the whole goal and then it delegates all the smaller subtasks to a team of specialized worker agents. It's this dynamic hub-and-spoke model that is just incredibly flexible for really complex projects. Okay, so no matter which playbook you use, chain, parallel, whatever, None of it works if the team can't talk to each other, right? And that communication really rests on three main pillars. First, they need a common language. Using structured formats like JSON, make sure that instructions are super precise and nobody misunderstands. Second, they need shared tools. This means giving agents access to things like web search or calculators so they can actually go out and interact with the world and get data. And finally, you need protocols. You can think of these like a universal grammar so that when one agent makes a request and another gives a response, they always understand each other perfectly. So, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, like something out of a research lab. But here's the thing, it's not. Agent workflows are already out there, in the wild, being used in some of the most critical and complicated fields you can imagine. Let's take a look at some real-world examples. I mean, just look at this. The applications for these workflows are already spreading into these super critical fields. We're seeing AI teams designed for medical diagnostics and healthcare, for incredibly complex financial analysis, and even for simulating legal arguments in law. This tech is moving fast, and it's already being used to solve real problems. And check out this quote from the research, because it really shows you the level of sophistication we're talking about here. In finance, you have agent workflows that don't just find data for you. No, they're designed to mimic the entire reasoning process of a human financial analyst. They actually break down a huge, complex financial problem into a logical chain of thought, give different parts of that chain to different specialist agents, and then pull all the results back together. That is a massive step up. Let's get even more concrete and see how those playbooks we talked about actually come to life. In healthcare, there's something called TX Agent. It probably uses that orchestrator workflow we mentioned. A planner agent gets the patient's data, while executor agents search through medical journals, all to create a personalized treatment plan. In law, an agent called MAS could use a chain workflow to run legal simulations, where each agent in the chain builds on the last one's work to create super realistic training scenarios. These aren't just ideas. These are AI teams using those strategic playbooks right now. All right, so where is all this headed? The potential is, it's just massive. But let's be honest, there are still some pretty big hurdles to clear before these AI teams are running everything autonomously. So let's look at the road ahead. So the journey is really about getting from today's hurdles to tomorrow's goals. Right now, agents can forget context or just misunderstand each other. They can create duplicate work or even conflicting information. And a huge issue is that there are no unified standards. Everyone is kind of building their own thing. The goal is to get to a place where AIs have dynamic, adaptive planning, where they can collaborate at a massive scale, and, most importantly, where they all have a common language, a universal protocol, so any AI can work with any other AI. Just like how any web browser can open any website. And of course, with all this incredible power comes more risk. We have to talk about security. The research paper highlights two big categories. You've got external threats, like an attacker tricking an AI team into using a poisoned or malicious tool. And then you have internal threats, like agents working together for a bad purpose, or maybe leaking private data they have access to. These are critical, serious challenges that have to be solved. So, what's the ultimate goal? What's the end game for all of this? This slide captures it beautifully. The vision is for what's called autonomous pervasive workflows. This is the point where AI teams move beyond just living in our computers. They start interacting with the physical world through robots and all our smart devices, and with our digital world in this seamless, continuous loop of seeing, planning, and doing. They become this true autonomous layer of intelligence woven into our lives. And that brings us full circle. We started by asking if an AI could run a company. And what we've seen is that the building blocks for that are being put into place right now with these agent workflows. So the real question isn't if AI can work in teams anymore. The question now is, what monumental challenges in science, in medicine, in exploring our universe, what problems are we going to ask these new collaborative AI teams to solve for us next? Thanks for watching The Explainer.